Welcome back. It's me, Metavog, and today's video is not going to be about fashion, it's going to be about politics. And you know, I do not like to get involved in politics. Well, I want to talk about a very special subject, and that is the oil spill in the offshore oil spill in the United States on the Gulf of Mexico. It is the largest oil spill in the world, not in the United States. It is the largest oil spill in the world. It was man-made. Yeah, it was man-made. And I find it hard to believe that it was an accident. I think that this was no accident. If you read the history of the oil rig, it basically was brand new. It was just made, and it was actually made only a couple of months ago. It was inaugurated in 2009. It was the deepest oil well in history, and it so happens to be on the Gulf of Mexico. Yeah, and why not in Dubai? Why not in Arabia? Why not in Iran? Why did it exploded in kind of like almost like in the middle of where it would be catastrophic whatever it happened? You know, this was not a hurricane where people, this was not a hurricane passing through and it destroyed things and then you can make them back, or at least you can see what's going on the day after, like an earthquake or anything that is part of nature, even a volcano. Volcanoes stop and volcanoes erupt. This was man-made. It exploded on April the 20th. We're now talking June 16th. Yeah, it's going on 2 months. It is very, very sad that still today, 2 months later, almost 2 months later, the oil keeps on gushing. They think that little robots from Mars are going to come here into the ocean and, patch things. Who knows when it's going to be done, if it ever be done. Will the oceans turn into black water? Is there something like that on the Bible, by the way, since a lot of you probably are church goers and are into religion and believe all that crap about December the 12th, 2012, the end of the world is near. If you're not into the Mayan culture, you're probably you're probably a Mormon. No pun intended, of course. We don't like the Mormon anyway, the Mormon cult, as they call it nowadays. But it's this was man-made. I told you I wanted to get away from politics. This is a very special subject. I don't think that this was an accident. I think that this was a terrorist attack. If you read about what was going on in that month, there were 3 explosions. This one was basically the one that exploded, like really. So, what happens after this? 2 months later? What happens a year later? What happens if it doesn't stop? This, to me, is now bigger than September 11th. Remember, September 11th was a terrorist attack and the buildings came down. And so if you look at it like that, and then you look at the history of, okay, so we already know what happened, that the terrorists were here, they trained on planes and they knew what they were doing and they were never caught because September 11 happened, because they never got caught. So the building came down and people died. This accident was not like September 11th. This accident was bigger and more monumental than September 11th. September 11th was a building across blocks, and it came down. And it was tragic. But they're making a new building, and the people who died were there because they were there at the wrong spot at the wrong time, and that is history. So this is now a new part of the world in history. The explosion, and millions of fish, millions of birds are going to die, and they're all probably already dead, and it's tragic because, like I said, this is not a building like September 11th, a structure. This is planet Earth. This is the waters. The waters that will take decades or centuries to go back to normality, if they ever will. So you tell me if I'm right or wrong. And you know what? I'm not going to block or delete any comments. You can call me whatever you want to call me, but at the end of the day, you can always go back into history and remember what I said. This was no fucking accident. This was a terrorist attack on the United States of America.